Welcome to Featured Authors. This is Joellen. I'm with First Editing, and today we have with us Dr. James Casale, who has written a fantastic nonfiction book for us, and we're here to find out about his journey through self-publishing. The book we have today is called Family Pledge: Raising Lifelong Learners and Good Citizens. Welcome, Dr. Casale. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. We just want to find out a little bit. We have a lot of nonfiction authors out there who are on the same journey as you, learning how to publish and promote their thoughts, ideas, and their businesses out there. And so I just want to get a little bit more about you as an author and then discuss your book. Can you just describe yourself, your interests, your groups, and how you came to becoming an author?
Well, I'm a retired school administrator. I started as a substitute teacher, and I was a classroom teacher at all levels, and I was an assistant principal and a school principal and assistant superintendent of schools and a college professor. I loved my profession. I just loved it. I had opportunities to leave, and I couldn't leave. I loved the kids, and I loved what I was doing. So even when I retired, I kept doing it. I would start teaching and writing, and then I found an outlet in writing to sort of share my experiences, which are 40 plus years in public education. So I thought, I have a lot of opinions about a lot of things, but my opinions are based on my professional experience. So I started writing about 6 years ago, just taking notes, and I wanted to share some things with people, but mostly I wanted to talk to parents. So my two books are really for parents who, couples who are thinking about being parents, and couples who have young children especially. Of course, I think the books would help any parent who still has children living at home. But so it's a wide audience. I have a lot to say, and I have two books. First one was published by a publisher in New York City. They acquired my book. I self-published it, but it was acquired by Skyhorse Publishing in New York City.
Wow, so congratulations.
I bought it, and I don't own it anymore. The second book, Family Pledge, is self-published also. I have not submitted it to a publisher. I don't think I want to. I'm not sure what I want to do, because once they take your book, you don't own it anymore, and you lose sort of your creative piece in there. And I'm not ready. I might do it, but I'm not ready right now. Basically, I find writing almost as creative as teaching.
Wow.
It's not exactly the same. It's more fun to teach than to write. But writing is a creative experience, and I really, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. I actually like it. So it's not a chore for me. The chore is typing, not the writing.
Yeah, that can be a little difficult sometimes. So what was your motivation here? You enjoy writing, and you have these books, and you have these stories. What was your motivation? What was your goal with your book after publishing it?
Here's my motivation. I've been in public education for so long, in 4 different states. I am totally convinced that school reform starts at home. I'm totally convinced that the family is the key to a child's success in school and life. And I'm certainly not alone. That's my opinion, but it's also the opinion of the Coleman Report, 1966, long before you and I were born. They're one of the largest sociological studies ever done. Their conclusion about the public schools was, it wasn't the resources you throw at public schools or the money or the number of computers. You know what it was? They determined that it was the quality of the family that determined the child's success in school. And that's what I so believe in this. I've written 2 books about it, and I have 1 more coming. My next book will be on leadership for parents. And this is the answer to me. Better families, better parenting equals better kids equals better families. And then better communities. So this is my mission. This is my mantra. John Gardner said, the smallest school in America is the family. This is my foundation of why I advise parents on what to do and what not to do.
That's great. That's good. Take that experience and share it. Where do you find help or information that you need when you were looking to become published? I mean, obviously you have a very good success story there. You self-published, you've been somebody else, an agent came along and took that. So tell us more. What information or help did you find along the way?
That's a good question. I did a lot of reading and researching. I'll tell you, I send families to the library in my books, but I walk the walk. I went to the library. There are books about this. I also take advantage of everything I can read online about self-publishing. You know, self-publishing is fairly new. I don't know exactly when it started, but I can tell you that right now, anybody can write a book if you want to pay somebody to publish it for you. That's what self-publishing is about. So there's a lot of books out there. I bought books, bought print versions. I read stuff online. I took courses. I did everything I could to find out how this process works. It's not that complicated. What is complicated is being accepted as writing quality stuff. So when I say anybody could write a book, I mean it. Anybody. You can write anything you want, and you'll find somebody. You pay them, they'll publish it for you. That's what self-publishing has turned into. It doesn't mean that every book written is a work of art or that it's accepted as really quality writing. So I suggest to people to do their homework. Look, I'm in education, so I had a better head start maybe than some people who are a little more intimidated about writing. I was never intimidated about writing because I was a teacher and a school principal. I was writing all the time. I wrote several professional articles that were published even before I even thought of writing a book. So advice, hone up on your writing skills, read books about that, take courses, get serious about it, and then do something really smart and hire an editor, like First Editing.
Nice lead in.
That's what I am. I've gotten great feedback about my writing, not just from First Editing, from Kirkus Reviews. I love Kirkus Reviews because they don't know me from a hole in the wall. And when they wrote the review of my first book, it was so positive, I was like walking on air for a month. I couldn't believe it. So now, Kirkus Review says this about Dr. Casale's book. I said, gee, maybe I must be pretty decent writer,
Yeah.
And so I got another feedback about my writing that was really helpful. Getting reviews, especially from Kirkus, and my unsolicited review from First Editing just blew me out of the water. Because again, it was just validation that one, I'm saying something important, and two, I'm writing it pretty clearly. But in the end, you need an editor. Look, the best writers on the planet have editors, right? I'm James Casale. I'm not James Patterson. But everybody needs an editor. And First Editing, I'm devoted to First Editing.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you plan on editing, or did you discover this in your research that you're going to need an editor?
That's a good question. I don't know how I found First Editing, but I've always been from the school of you've got to do better. And I had an editor for my first book. It wasn't First Editing. It was somebody I found in the newspaper. I thought she did a great job, and I complimented her in my book. She's a professional writer and editor, playwright, so her credentials were excellent. I don't remember how I came across First Editing, but it really made sense to me when you think that every famous author has an editor. Let's face it, that's not my profession. I'm not a professional editor, but I'm a writer, and I need help from people like First Editing to make sure everything is the way we want it. Clear and concise. Clarity and brevity is next to godliness. And First Editing has helped me tremendously.
That's good. That's great. So, of course, editing was part of that. And you did that. Were there any roadblocks in writing and becoming published that you had to overcome?
There's two big roadblocks. One is, let's talk about self-publishing particularly. Look, James Patterson writes a book. Lee Child writes a book. they don't have to worry about anything. That book's going to sell. They're famous. They've been a New York Times bestsellers and stuff like that. Self-publishers are up against two major obstacles. One is there's a million books out there. I'm not saying that off the top of my head. That's what I read.
Yeah.
Annually, there's a million books being published. That's what self-publishing has done to the publishing business. I mean, it's helped writers, of course, people like me, but you're competing against so many other books. It's very, very difficult. And which actually leads to the second problem is nobody even knows who I am. I don't care what my credentials are. My credentials, no one has my credentials professionally. Not just talking about a PhD. I'm talking about my state and national awards as a Florida Teacher of the Year, as a National School of Excellence principal, a college professor, PhD. You know what? That doesn't seem to impress anybody. I don't know how to get in front of people. I've tried so many things to get in front of my audience. It has not worked. I was doing it for 5 years. So consequently, people aren't noticing my book as I think they should be. So getting in front of the right audience or getting your book in front of the right audience has really been a big obstacle for me. You would think I would have an automatic opening to public schools. Well, I write to principals, I write to PTA and PTO officials, I write to superintendents, I tell them nothing. I think I've made maybe one school presentation in 5 years. I can't get in front of the audience. I write to local, state, and national organizations. You know, it's that old saying, it's who you know and who knows you. Well, it's not who you know. I'll tell you, Joel, it's who knows you. So far, I do a lot of networking. I'm still plugging away. And my biggest success has been on LinkedIn as far as networking.
Oh. Good. LinkedIn is great.
That's the obstacle for a self-published. Look, I've met self-published authors who don't market their books, who don't care if anybody buys their books. They just wanted the satisfaction of writing a book. I'm not talking to them. I want more than the satisfaction of writing a book. I want this book to be noticed because I'm told that what I have to say is so important to families to become better parents that that's my goal. I want to get in front of more parents. But it's not easy. It's very hard.
No, it's not easy. Editing is just one of those steps at the very beginning for the book launch and the marketing, and there's a lot of steps in between. And we're making good connections now. We'll hook you up and get you on your way to hopefully getting some more information out there. That's it's a common struggle, I think.
Yeah,
so,
I think it is.
What specific steps were required to do what you've done now? You wrote the book, and did you have any steps that you followed to publish?
The steps, they became easier with my second book because I navigated what I had to do with the first book. To me, the easiest part was the writing. So writing it was easy. When I tell people, they ask me for advice. Some people say, "Oh, would you help me?" I said, "Just start writing. I'll help you if I can, but just write. You got to write and write and write. Worry about putting it together later. Just write your ideas out. Try to organize it and things like that into chapters. But do the writing. After the writing, I wasn't sure what to do. As I said before, I read books about it. That's how I found these self-publishing companies because I also wrote a cookbook. You find these companies, they will, and you read about them in the books I've read. And one of them, of course, is CreateSpace.com, which is owned by Amazon. There are other publishing companies. There are many others. I like CreateSpace. So it was recommended to me by the books that I read.
Right.
It wasn't the only place you could self-publish a book, but it was reasonably priced. And when I found out about that, I took the advice of the people who wrote these other books on how do you get published or how do you self-publish. And I said this earlier. There are books out there that help you. It takes you right through every step. It's not rocket science. Trust me, it's not rocket science. You can do it. There are books out there to help you. I write, I get it edited. Look, you could get it edited with CreateSpace.
Yes.
But I didn't go to CreateSpace. I went to First Editing. So the steps are quite simple. Write it, submit it to an editor, then CreateSpace will do the rest as long as you have the money to pay. Right. It's not free. Nothing is free. But you spend more money trying to market your book than you do writing and publishing itself.
That's true. That's true. So talking about costs, what costs did you incur, and do you have any recommendations for other people to avoid some unnecessary costs?
Well, you know what? What I liked about CreateSpace, it's a la carte.
Yes.
So you can pick whatever you want them to do. Now, since I outsource things, so let's say you want to do what's my cover going to look like? Well, they'll do it. CreateSpace will do a cover for you. They have graphic designers that do covers. I never use them for a cover because when I was a principal in Harrison, New York, I had a student named Jessica who grew up to be a graphic designer.
Nice.
So I have my own graphic designer. She designed the cover for my 2 parenting books and my cookbook, and I only use her for what I'm going to do. But the companies that you want to work with, like CreateSpace or others, they will do all of that for you. You need a cover, you need your book edited, etc. They take care of the ISBN numbers. They do it all for you as long as you're willing to pay for each step. On my second book, I did some of the steps by myself. I applied for my own ISBN number. I went to First Editing for my editing. All CreateSpace did for me was basically print the book. Okay. Print the book. I had my cover. I had my other stuff, ISBN numbers and stuff like that. So for less than $700 or $800, you can have your book printed. But you need a cover, a small cost for ISBN numbers and stuff like that. I think it's all around $1,000, $1,000 to $1,200, depending on the size of your book. My books are not big. They're 120, 130 pages. That's all. They're paperback, so I'm not going into hardcover and things like that. Right. It's not expensive. The expensive part is trying to get your book out there and market your book and yourself. That's really expensive.
Yes, it can be. That's for sure. So it sounds like you've done really well. You've written these 2 books. I'm going to ask, how long did it take and how did you manage your time to write? Well, actually 3 books with the cookbook.
Yeah. The cookbook is 3 and my next book will be 4. I love to write, but I'm a morning person. So I devote only after 12 o'clock, I'm ready for a nap. I mean, I do so much before 12 o'clock, it's not even funny. I don't do any, everybody's different. I know people that write at night. I don't know how they do that. I'm tired. I can't do it. I devote, I would say, when I'm really into it, 2 to 3 hours at a stretch, always in the morning, always by myself, always in an environment on my porch where I can look at some grass and trees. Always, I can't have distractions. You have to stay very focused. But also, there's some research to do when you're researching topics. The first book has a lot of references in it. I did a lot of reading. Even though I kind of knew what I was talking about, I wanted a lot of references on what I was talking about. For example, I have chapters in my first book on safety and security, on school discipline, on those kinds of topics. Well, I researched all that. And then I put my own thoughts together and referenced those resources also. My second book, the Family Pledge book, didn't require a lot of research because it's basically 40 essays. So it's not a chapter 1, chapter 2 book. You see an essay you like, gee, was it the gorilla's fault the kid fell into the zoo enclosure? You might want to read that first because it's very interesting. Yeah. Every of the 40 essays are all designed to help parents think about better parenting. So no research they're essays I've had written and are still writing now, and that's what the Family Pledge is about. You pick that book up. I met a woman. I was standing in line at Walmart in Westerly, Rhode Island. 2 summers ago.
Mm-hmm.
I watched parents very closely, how they interact with their children. I loved it. I was blown away about how she interacted with her child who was screaming and yelling, I want this, I want that, I want. They were at the checkout counter. The kid wanted everything he saw. He was screaming, yelling, acting nutty. She never raised her voice. She was so calm and civil.
Mm.
After we got through the checkout counter, I introduced myself, who I was, and I was kind of a voyeur, checking out parents and how they interact with you. I ran to my car and wrote an essay, how to say no and mean it.
Yeah.
Now, these 40 essays, I'm very proud of this second book, as I am of my first book, but there's so much in there that I think parents would enjoy and learn from. That's what Family Pledge is about.
That's great.
Pretty cool.
That's fantastic. Cool. Did you have any frustrations during your journeys here with these books? Anything that you wish you'd done differently that you'd like to tell others about?
Well, being a teacher and a principal,
Mm-hmm.
my mantra was always, as I used to tell all my teachers, the same thing. There are no perfect teachers. We always have to try to get better. So reflecting on what you're doing and how good you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking to do better and learn more. That's what I focus on. I'm not a know-it-all. I know a lot. I know a lot more than most people about this business and about public education. But I'm always reading and learning stuff, as I go along. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes. I get involved with some marketing people who really don't do anything for you. I'm not sold on social media except for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
My best professional contacts and my openings for me and my book really came more through LinkedIn than Twitter. And I think I wasted a lot of time on Twitter. Even Facebook. I mean, I'm on there, but I don't know why sometimes. LinkedIn has opened some doors for me. My son taught me this, and I wasn't good at it because I don't like that many people. Networking. Be nice to people. Okay, I'll be nice to everybody. So I do try to network as much as possible to get your name out there. Made a lot of mistakes, spent a lot of money I shouldn't have on marketing things that I thought were going to work, and they didn't. So I'm asking, I'd be very cautious about what you spend your money for.
Yeah.
Very. True.
It's true. There's a lot of people who have a lot of things to sell. It's
oh yeah.
Knowing if you're going to get what you paid.
Joel, the self-publishing industry has created another industry to help people like me and anyone else who wants to write a book. And they're not all created equal. So filtering through that on what's good for you and what's not, that's a real obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely.
To going forward.
Absolutely.
My recommendation is do anything that's free. Then you haven't lost any money. You're just reading stuff. So watch where you spend your money, really.
Okay. So any final words of advice for other authors out there on overcoming fears or struggles or anything that you can tell them that would help them become a successfully published author like yourself, especially out there in the nonfiction?
You know what? Following your passion is what I tell people. My grandson graduates from high school. He tells his father and his grandpa, me, I want to be a comedian. Really? I mean, this is a kid at 16, drove himself to Tampa, Florida, and went on stage at a comedy club and was asked back. When he graduated from high school, he didn't want to go to college. He said, I want to go be a comedian. Where are you going? Oh, I'm going to go to New York City or Chicago. I said, you know what? Go. This is your passion. If you really are motivated, I was really motivated to do this. If you're really motivated to write a book, take a course, read books about it. Everybody can write a memoir about their life. I haven't written mine yet, and I don't plan to. I follow your heart, really, basically. I thought this was important, and I followed through on it. You can't just say, I should write a book. No, there's no such thing as I should write a book. You sit down and you write. You read books about writing books. There's so much information out there available to you. I say take advantage of it, really. A lot of stuff out there. Help us, people like me.
That's great. Well, I recommend everyone go and check out Family Pledge, Raising Lifelong Learners and Good Citizens. You can tell us the name of your other two books. And if you have a website, please tell us that so that they can check out more and maybe you get some new followers here.
My website is jamescasale.phd.com.
Okay.
If you subscribe to it, you'll read my updated essays that appear on there. You also get a couple of free ebooks that I've written that I haven't told you about, but I have several ebooks I've written that are on there. And I'm very excited about my radio program, which starts this Thursday.
Oh, exciting.
W4WN. Actually, Women for Women Network that's the network. W4WN.com this Thursday at 2 o'clock. My first guest is a friend I met on LinkedIn. She's an early childhood expert, and we're going to talk about parenting. The name of the show basically is Common Sense Parenting.
Nice. That sounds so exciting. And it's such a great way to share your information.
I'm so excited. I can't tell you. I'm also, for the first time after 5 years of trying, I'll be at a national conference in Virginia as one of the breakout speakers.
Oh, wow. This is great.
Finally, somebody said, oh, gee, this guy has something important to say. And they invite me to be one of their breakout speakers. So I am so excited. This is the craziest month of my life. Selling my house, starting a radio show, and being at a national convention. I couldn't be more excited.
You know, to be honest, I really think that that's one of the best things that comes from writing your own book as a nonfiction author is you suddenly get the speaking engagements, you get the networks, you get the radios, you get all that publicity, and you really do get your voice out there, your message, and that's so fantastic. We're so proud of you and happy for you. So
thank you very much. I'm proud that I connected with First Editing because they've been very helpful.
Oh, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much. And we'll be looking at your website there again. And please, everyone, go visit Dr. James Casale and check out all of his books. And thank you so much today.
Thank you, Joellen. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye.